Cedar Fair and Six Flags are merging together. So what does that mean for the future of all the theme parks within both chains? And what would the parks be called, like Six Flags Cedar Point? And finally, and most importantly, will we still see new rides and roller coasters added to the parks once this merger becomes official? Welcome to Theme Park Predictions. My name is Brandon, and I'm really glad you're here. And I gotta say, what a crazy day it is. I mean, this is absolutely insane news, merging both Cedar Fair and Six Flags together. And let's start talking about the parks and what parks are safe, what parks are not safe, because I know everyone's wondering how exactly this is going to work. And a huge question that I've been getting a lot on social media is, will the rides get renamed at the Cedar Fair properties to bring in the DC characters into the Cedar Fair parks? And I see maybe a few. For example, like Carowinds, obviously Fury 325 is always going to be known as Fury 325. But Intimidator could very easily be transitioned into Superman the Ride. I mean, it's always been rumored that Intimidator and King's Dominion's Intimidator would get rethemed eventually. So this here is the perfect time, and I predict that Intimidator at Carowinds and King's Dominion will be called Superman the Ride, which I'm okay with. That's a cool name, and they might have some different type of name variations to it, but I'm all for that. But as for the staple attractions, I don't see much change at all. I could see each park maybe retheming a ride or two, but I don't think it's going to be a huge deal. But then going forward with new investments, and more on that in a few minutes, I definitely can see more of the DC characters coming into the Cedar Fair parks. And on the flip side, the current Six Flags parks open up some non-IP attractions as well. So we will see. But as of today, November 2nd, Cedar Fair and Six Flags, the new company, whatever they're going to call it, owns and operates 42 different theme parks and water parks all across North America. Now, I'm only going to talk about the major amusement parks. As for the water parks, they could easily be kept in this portfolio or sold off to another theme park operator. But after listening to the conference call just a few minutes ago, I'm very intrigued by this because both parks combined entertain just under 50 million people each year. And I know they want to continue to grow that number, which is great news for the parks and us. So I think the parks that are 100% safe have to be Fiesta Texas. This park is a cash cow and honestly is the best operated park in the Six Flags chain. And I've said it in past videos, Fiesta feels more like a Cedar Fair operated park than a Six Flags park. As for Over Texas, this park is definitely safe. However, they have a lot of work to be done, and I really am intrigued by what Cedar Fair and the new Six Flags can do with Over Texas for the future. Dorney Park. Now, some might question this, but I really feel like Dorney Park is a staple in the Cedar Fair chain, and it's a well-established park that's opening up a brand new coaster in 2024, so I do not think Dorney Park is on the chopping block in terms of getting sold off to another theme park operator. What about Canada's Wonderland? Of course it's safe. This park is just another cash cow for the Cedar Fair parks. The attendance here is always increasing, and it's amazing to see the numbers that this park draws each and every year. Six Flags Magic Mountain, the roller coaster capital of the world. Again, this park is definitely safe. They just need to have a different management in place so they can open all their roller coasters and rides any given day. Heading south to Knott's Berry Farm. There is no way that Knott's Berry Farm is not a part of the future company because, again, this park is just such a great overall destination park, and the attendance numbers do not lie. People love Knott's and people love going to Knott's. Now, here's a park that not everyone's going to agree with me on this, but Six Flags Over Georgia. I really feel like this park is safe, and I'm excited to see what happens to this place in the future with both companies. Now, obviously, Carowinds is safe since the new headquarters of both companies will be in Charlotte, North Carolina. So if any park out there that I'm more intrigued about, honestly, it's Carowinds, just because you now have corporate there for both companies, and I feel like it's going to be the testing grounds for a lot of things, and that means new attractions, new rides, new entertainment, new food offerings. So again, I really am very thrilled for Carowinds. I think they needed this, and I'm very excited to see what the future brings. Six Flags Cedar Point. Yes, Cedar Point is definitely safe, but what about Six Flags Great America? This park, located just north of Chicago, is a solid Six Flags park, and there's no way that it's not going to be a part of this new chain. And the same goes for Six Flags Great Adventure. This massive theme park offers the safari, a great water park, lodging, and so much more. So again, that's definitely safe. King's Dominion. There's no way that King's Dominion is not going to be a part of this new chain going forward. It's a great solid park with a very nice future ahead of it. Six Flags Mexico. If more of us were able to visit Mexico, this park would be considered a top tier park for most of us. And the final 4 parks that I think are safe would have to be Kings Island, Worlds of Fun, Valleyfair, and the reason why Worlds of Fun and Valleyfair is the same with Dorney. These parks are very efficient and well-rounded, and they offer a great infrastructure, and I don't think Cedar Fair and Six Flags wants to let go of these parks. And finally, Six Flags Great Escape. And the reason why this park I think is safe is due to the lodging, the indoor water park located right next to the park, as well as the location of the park because it's located more in a tourist area. Now let's talk about the parks that I do not feel as if are 100% safe going forward. Six Flags America. There's so many question marks around this park, and now that King's Dominion's in the same chain, I just do not know if Six Flags America will still be a Six Flags park or if they'll want to sell it off. And the same goes for Six Flags Darien Lake. Will this park still be a Six Flags park, or will it get sold off to a different operator? Who knows? I know that Six Flags does not own this property, so maybe that's an easy reason for them to let go of the park. Michigan's Adventure. I can very well see it staying in the chain, but I can also see it being sold off to a different operator. I think the future of this park is very bright. I don't think it needs new coasters and new rides every year, obviously. Either way, Michigan's Adventure is going to be an amusement park for decades to come. Might not be with this new chain though. Six Flags St. Louis. Again, another park that has so many question marks around it, so much neglect from Six Flags. Will this change? I doubt it. I could very well see this park being sold off to another operator. La Ronde. It's finally time for Six Flags to dump La Ronde off to some other company and not even worry about it anymore. Six Flags Discovery Kingdom and California's Great America. Both of these parks have just a weird future. Do they keep both, or do they keep one, or do they keep 0? It's hard to really tell. If I had to take a guess, I would say they would keep Discovery Kingdom just due to the animal aspect of it, and it's already the park that doesn't have all the drama around the future like California's Great America does. But with this news, does California's Great America's timeline change at all? Do they close it sooner than later, or do they sell it off to another operator? A lot of question marks there. Six Flags New England. This park I can very well see staying in the chain due to the fact that it's the largest park in New England, and there's a ton of metros and millions of people that live very close to this awesome park. However, I could also see this park getting sold off to another theme park operator and bringing back the name Riverside. Either way, I hope they change the name back to Riverside because I know that'll make a lot of us happy. And finally, Frontier City. I can see Herschend picking this park up. I think it makes just the most sense out there, and this park I do not think will be a part of the future of this company. Which brings us to the big question: what will the parks be called? We already know that the company name will be called Six Flags, and that's the name the parks will have. But what I mean by this is, will it be Six Flags Carowinds or Six Flags Kings Island? Because I personally think, and I do predict, that the brand names like Carowinds and Cedar Point are so strong that they will stay. I do think it'll be like Kings Island, a Six Flags theme park, or Knott's Berry Farm, a Six Flags theme park. So I don't see too much change of the actual names. They're definitely not going to get rid of like Kings Island, Cedar Point, and Carowinds and call it something differently. But how about all the new rides and attractions coming to the parks? Because I know that's a major concern for most of us is, well, now there's no competition and they're not going to want to invest in the parks and such and such and such. But here's the good news. There's still competition. During the conference call, they must have said at least a dozen times that they want to keep investing in the parks and investing in new attractions and new this, new that. So I'm not worried at all with this because After all, you have to please the stockholders, and the company has to remain going in a positive direction with attendance growing, and the one way to do that is by new rides and attractions. So I do not see that stopping, and that's great news for all of us because now we might finally see some Cedar Fair parks work with RMC and Intamin again. So we will see, and the same goes to Six Flags and Gerstlauer. Will the current Six Flags parks open up new Gerstlauers in the future? There's so many fun things to speculate on with this, it's just fun to talk about it. Now, one last thing that was very interesting to me is the fact that they did mention a combined company pass, making it easier for us to visit all of their parks. I love that idea. I cannot wait to see more information about this in the future. I just hope that they keep the meal plan and the fast lane. Overall, I'm very excited about this news. I know there's a lot of question marks, right? And not everyone likes Six Flags, but Six Flags is a lot of good things. And I really feel like people hound on them way too much because Cedar Fair is not perfect. Cedar Fair does just as many bad things as Six Flags does, in my opinion. And remember that Six Flags is merging with Cedar Fair. So 51% of the company is going to be Cedar Fair, 49% Six Flags. They're just going to use the Six Flags names for the parks for marketing purposes. Because after all, Six Flags does have a better marketing appeal than just Cedar Fair Carowinds or Cedar Fair over Texas. Now do not worry because Millennium Force will not get rethemed to Goliath. And speaking of Millennium Force, I want to know how many coasters in this video right here that you have been on. This video is where I rank the best coasters that were built in the year 2000. Please let me know all your thoughts and comments about all this crazy news. And with that being said, remember to smile today, think positive, and of course, keep riding coasters.